Are your listings getting you the results that they could be? We're here to talk about the perfect listing on steel pushers today, guys. That's a great topic that we're going to be focused on. I'm Lyndon Smith, Digital Performance Manager for Queensland.
And I'm Steve Krebs, the co-founder of Machines for You. And what a great subject, because this is the core of your whole advertising online in the digital format. You've got to have the core right, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Exactly right. The absolute perfect listing. If you're listing machinery on marketplaces or even on your own website, it's important to know the tips and the tricks that you can use to ensure they're getting the best results possible.
Yeah, and there's so many different little key things that we've learnt over the years that you really got to put the energy and effort into getting those listings right. Number one thing is the price, and I know we've been talking about that for weeks now, but just something so simple as putting a price on an advert, it's going to increase your leads by tenfold.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the tips, Lyndon.
Yeah, we'll talk about, what you should list, who should manage your listings, where your listings will get a good result, even why you should keep your content online. So guys, if you do have any questions as well, remember to leave them in the comments or ask those questions. We get them read out live on air. You'll get yourself a Steel Pushers prize pack. And as well, remember to if you missed the live episode, you can tune into the podcast afterwards, get some additional information from our mate Jade. That'll tag onto the end of the episode as well. So we'll get cracking. We're going to start off for this episode. We're going to talk about what you should list, and it's a pretty straightforward answer, Steve. Everything.
That's what I crack on to all you guys and every dealer that I talk to across the country. It's just like, get everything online. But it's about putting everything on, but don't just put up rubbish adverts. You've got to have good quality. So if you say to me everything, and we've got 150 listings, but 149 of them are rubbish,
or 149 of them are little bits of tooling and things like that. Focus on, guys, you used, everything that you can. There's a lot of misconception out there that a marketplace should just be for used gear, which is just not the case.
Well, our whole site's about 60% new.
Yeah, that's right.
In the listings. So, yes, used brings in more leads than in new gear, but it's about converting those buyers who may start looking at the used gear and then, of course, convert into something new because you've got some amazing finance rate, or, it's just a better quality purchase for them because they know they got the security of someone installing it properly, so all of a sudden they're in that new purchase.
That's right. And even your parts. So out there, guys, you guys are going to have a lot of you guys are going to have parts that you can actually list as well. Now, we understand some of you pushing steel out there have thousands of parts.
Millions of dollars of parts and 10,000 parts.
You're not going to list all 10,000 parts, but you should list your top 50 at least. These are the parts you constantly get inquiry about. These top 50 you should definitely get listed.
Yeah, because it brings in a different type of buyer. That's someone who may have a second-hand machine and you pick them up for some parts inquiries, but all of a sudden they recognise that used machine's just too flogged, and next minute, it's moved from the parts department over to new business sales guys, and they've sold them a new machine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And another cool thing that you can actually do, and there's a number of dealers that are already doing this on our marketplace, even a couple of my own accounts that I look after. In fact, Adam White from Machinery Direct, shout out to him. He's done it really well a few times, and that's a package deal.
Yeah, it's back to what we've been talking about. You're creating your adverts and you're creating your machinery listings for a particular type of exemplar. So imagine you've got a builder out there and he's got to clear the site and he's going to buy a small excavator. Package it up with the trailer, package it up with the attachments.
Yep. Yeah, you're talking 3 or 4 minimum, generally, attachments you're going to need to get a small earth moving business started, at least. And if you've then got the trailer thrown in that can help you get the thing moved around, it's going to make it a lot easier for these potential future business owners to start up and get going. So it just gives you that extra dynamic to the machinery you've got listed. And ensure that when you do list as much as you can, that you are focusing on your top sellers, focusing on all of that gear, all of those parts, all of that machinery that gets good attention.
Of course, and then slip in the old hire ads. I mean, there's plenty of you steel pushers, you're in forklifts, you're in generators, you're in machinery that you're also hiring out. So make sure you get those on the site as well, because you're going to pick up some hire users who want to hire out the machinery. They're thinking new or thinking used, and then they think, hang on a sec, the contract's only 3 or 4 months. Maybe I'll just hire it for a bit. Next minute, you've been hiring it out to them for a year. Nice business.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to get them even interested in buying the machine. If somebody gets a taste for using a particular machine over and over and over again, you never know, they might just come back and go, what will you take if I buy it?
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
can get, get the taste buds going for that particular machine. What we want to move on to next, now that we know what to list, it's really important to understand who you're targeting and who manages your listings.
Yeah, this is crucial. We had a company right back 12 years ago. I don't mind mentioning Ron Mac Machinery, big company in the metalworking industry, woodworking, based out of WA. And they had a marketing guy who was running the whole profile on Machines for You, and they'd run it for a good 10 months, and we were having a chat to them, and I had a chat to the director over there, and he was like, I'm not sure we're really getting the results. And I said to him, is it all right if I tell you straight what's actually going on here? And he's like, yep. So he gave me the freedom to really tell him. And I said to him, mate, your marketing guy's not putting up the listings and going in there regular enough. And I don't think he's actually writing the ads for the right exemplar. Why don't we get your sales guys to do it? And he was like, that made sense to him. And all of a sudden he gave it a crack.
Well, it makes sense, full stop, guys. If you know for a fact, put it this way, you've got a salesperson who specialises in getting your used machinery sold. You've got a sales guy who specialises in getting your new machinery sold. You've got a guy who specialises in making sure that the right parts are getting sold. All of these people have the particular unique selling points stored up there in their noggin. All of these people know exactly what to say and what information to give the potential prospect in order for them to develop that buying cycle and get the process started. Guess who doesn't? Daphne, your receptionist. All right, so many dealers out there will leave the listing of their digital content to someone that sits at the front desk and answers a phone, or even to a marketing person. Their specialty is marketing the business, and getting your name out there. Their specialty is not selling the product.
Yeah.
So get the people who know how to sell the product to do your digital listings.
And that's what Ron Mac did really well, because the different sales guys, they all had the different categories. One guy just did CNC lathes right across the country. He knew those machines inside and out, and he knew the 3 best points for each machine comparative to the competition's machine. So when he wrote the ad, he got a far better result. I mean, this is a company who's been with us now, over 12 years, and it was purely because of this reason, because the right people were listing the equipment for the right exemplars.
And think about it this way, so many of you, and we've touched base about this a couple of times, how many hats all of you out there wear. Your sales guy has one hat: sell the machinery.
Yeah.
So that's what they're good at. The item descriptions they're gonna write are fantastic. They're gonna fit the machine, and they're gonna fit the target market that machine's designed to be put in front of. They're not going to waste any or put up any jargon that's just not useful. All of this information that your salesperson's going to provide is going to be directly focused on your exemplar, your perfect prospect. And that's why generally the listing will get a much better result when the right person's looking after it.
And then, of course, match that person with the lead that actually comes in.
Yeah.
Because when the buyer comes in, he or she knows that machine the best, and it's going to get the best points across, and it's going to be consistent advertising, consistent messages, and he or she's going to convert that sale better and quicker and easier because they understand the machine.
Like, who do you want managing your leads? So the listing's gone up, you know what you need to list, you know who you need to manage those listings. If that lead then comes through and you're sending that lead to the wrong person to handle,
Don't give it to Daphne.
No, don't give it to Daphne again.
She'll probably cut him off.
I'm sorry, can I put you on hold for a second? No, guys, make sure that lead does go to the right person. Who is really important in your perfect listing.
Yeah.
So now we know what to list.
Yep.
We know who should look after it and who the market is you're after. What you really want to focus now is the where. So this is where you should put your listings, where you should put your content. And I'm not talking just on your own website. Even positioning is a big deal on a digital marketplace. It's a part, and we'll get to it later, it's the second part of a really key partnership. So know where your products are being listed, marketplaces, your own website, but get it everywhere. Your social media, YouTube, all of your video content, get that up on your YouTube as well, and make sure that where it's listed, it's effective.
That's a really good point, because you can have one machine. You might be in one location, but all of a sudden you use all these different digital formats, and you're able to get that machine's exposure out on a far wider, funnel of input of buyers into that machine.
Yeah.
So that's how it works a treat. In this, if we think back to, Harvey Norman of having all these different branches and bricks and mortar in each of the towns.
Yep.
And then what did Kogan do? He came along and he just put it in so many, yes, Google especially, but he had it in all these different digital places where people were finding his products. All of a sudden, he competed against someone who'd been there for years, bricks and mortar, and look what he did to the TV world.
And he would have done it at a fraction of the cost.
Yep.
I mean, if you think of how much money you guys out there invest in making sure you've got a branch here and a branch there, or even if it's just one branch estate, that's a lot of money you've invested. Whereas in the digital world, you can cover that kind of territory. In fact, you can cover even more territory at a fraction of the investment.
Yeah.
So make sure that you are getting that content everywhere that you can possibly muster. The next part is the how. And it's not just about having the content. You know what you've got to list. You know who's got to handle it. You know where you've got to put it. But making sure that the content's effective, the how is all about, and we bang on about this so much, guys, but it's all about making sure your content is of good, high quality, 15 to 20 photos, video content of the machine working, downloadable PDF spec sheets on the machinery. It's really important.
We call this the secret salesman.
Yeah, it really is.
This is getting to all those people after hours, on the weekends, whenever it suits them in their space, in their time, usually with the mobile phone, usually with the iPad. It can be late at night, it can be at lunchtime in between. The excavator starts not working very well in the morning. What does the boss do, or the one of the lead hands there? They're like, hang on a sec, let's look around and see what else is out there. This thing's playing up a bit.
Yep.
So it's all back to the user when it suits them, and we've got to have the great content so that they get engaged with it before they engage with your competition.
Exactly right. It's making sure that you're doing everything possible. Once you know how, you know what, you know where, it's to make sure that the content that you do have online is answering those exemplars questions. It's making sure that the content that you do have everywhere possible is actually doing the machinery justice. It's honouring the machine. It's making sure it gets it sold.
And do it consistently.
Yeah.
A lot of our customers, we talk to them about the power hour for the week.
Yeah.
Machines for You power hour.
Yep.
Just get in for an hour, make some great edits, put your new ones up, take your used ones off, do it to your website as well. That's the way you're going to get consistent advertising.
That's it. We'll be right back after this short break, guys, with some more valuable information. Don't go away.
So when it comes to building your brand, or even your personal brand, LinkedIn is definitely the place to be. But with so many people putting out so much great content, it's really hard to stand out from the crowd. Check out this crazy recruitment ad from Declan at Lyndon Employment.
Morning Australia, it's the Badger here. Well look, have you ever heard about the Bible story with Samson and Delilah? Well look, it's got nothing to do with what I'm doing, so that's why I'm here. We're currently recruiting a position, and if you get this role, I guarantee you one thing, you'll be going off like a cut snake. It's a technical sales position based here in Brisbane. The company's been in operation for over about 30 years. They got offices all over East Australia and all over this place. So what they specialise in control valves and instrumentation and various other accessories used within that realm. And they sell to a range of industries such as mining, oil and gas, and water predominantly. So look, with the amount of work they got going on at the moment, I can guarantee you one thing. You'll be busier than a one-armed bricklayer in Baghdad, because you'll be dealing with consultants, engineers, procurement managers, business owners and industry personnel for major projects all across Australia and Papua New Guinea. And if you've got 5+ years experience within this sector or within instrumentation or automation or something relatable in this space, then get in touch, because you should be going off like a bloody bull in a china shop, because we'd love to hear from you. So go on then, get your CV over to us like a rat up a drain pipe, because if you've got the right experience for this role and you don't put your hand up and you miss out, we can guarantee you one thing: you'll be sweating like a gypsy with a mortgage. Holy dear Mora, how good? You beauty. Just seen the salary, 100,000 to 110,000 plus a 17k car allowance plus super and commission. You'd be going up and over, and head over biscuit for this one. So look, get in touch. Remember, Lyndon Employment, bringing people together and putting people first. Have a great day, Australia.
Welcome back, all you steel pushers out there. And the next thing we're going to talk about now is what Steve has drummed into us here at Machines for You from day dot, and we like to use the analogy of the streets. So Steve, I'm going to let you take this one away. Let's explain the streets to them.
Yeah, great. So, what we have right across the site is a whole heap of categories, if you like. You've got tractors, and you've got excavators. Then over in the metalworking, you've got CNC lathes, woodworking, edge banders. There's some real key categories. So what we've realized over the years is the best thing is to put it in an analogy that everyone can understand. And what everyone can understand is, categories. They can understand streets. You imagine we've got big long streets with just excavators on it. And imagine how useful that is for the buyer to have, these streets with excavators lined up. It's yours, it's the competition's, it's someone else's, There's all these different, machines, which is so easy to them. I went to a mall in Dubai, which, I was walking around, and then I realized, hang on a sec, they've got a whole part of the mall just for running shoes.
Yeah.
How good was that? I didn't have to walk all over Pacific Fair. Our marketing guy would love this too. He loves his shoes.
He does.
Loves his shoes.
He really loves his shoes.
Yeah, but for me, I could just go in one shop, into the next. How great is that for a user?
Yeah.
So that's similar, if you like, what we do. And we've got that on screen now. You imagine we're just talking about Excavator Street. And last month, we had a crazy 14,000 buys go into all those keywords just for excavator. Yeah. So it might be, they might have, and 80% of them each month start in Google.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So they're back in Google, 80% of them, that could be used Komatsu excavator, It could be all these different keywords. 20% of them know Machines for You. So 13 years down the track, they come back into the site and they put a Machines for You, then they start the excavator search. So 14,000 buyers. But look what, we've got over 1,000 listings there.
Yeah.
And that's a long street.
Yeah, it's a massive street. So this is why it's really important to what we were mentioning before about where you're at is placed. So focusing on positioning, but it's also why content's so powerful as well, because you could have, and I love using this analogy in the streets, you could be the first shop on the street, the very first shop. But if your front window's got a dusty old machine,
signs falling down,
signs falling apart.
Yeah.
There's no real enticement for me to want to come in and have a look. Yet, if I just walk maybe 3 or 4 more shop fronts down, and that next shop front's got a beautifully dressed machine, all cleaned up and nice, or even just a great shot of the machine in the paddock. If that next one's, the signage is wonderful, the shop front looks clean and lovely and it's inviting. The sales staff look like they're moving around and they know what they're talking about. All of that can make the difference between somebody walking in or not walking into your shop, so to speak, which is why we like to use the streets analogy, because your content is your king and your positioning is your queen, guys.
They absolutely go hand in hand, because the positioning is going to give you more eyeballs on the ads. Because you imagine it's like Google. If you're up the top of Google, obviously you're going to get more people looking at it, clicking at it, coming into your website. And for marketplaces, it's not like you have to be on the first page of Google, but within the first 6.5 pages, most buyers will go on average. But if you're not in those, and in the excavators, we're over 30 or 40, 50 pages long of 31 listings. If you're right down the bottom, obviously you don't get the right exposure. But it's one thing to position yourself right, but if you haven't got your content right, that's why they go hand in hand. Because you've got that one opportunity of that one little listing out of that street to really stand out and get the buyers to engage in your advert.
Yeah, exactly right. What you can see here, and this is what I want to describe for you now, and as Steve mentioned before, we've got 31 listings per page.
Yeah.
So of those 31 listings, and this is something that's the beauty of our marketplace, and others do it as well, but if you imagine that you've got 3 or 4 ads in one category that are end up on the same page, let's say you've listed a few of them at the same time, and your logo's visible on those ads. How powerful is that when your branding appears multiple times on a single page? Couple that with really high quality content, and that's the example that I'm showing here. So you could be in position 2, but your ad might only have 2 photos. It's got no video, no PDF. The item description's poor. There's no location information about where the machine might be, and there's no pricing. Whereas 2 ads or 3 ads further down the street, there's an ad there with a full photo gallery. He's spent his credits to upgrade the ad, so it's a little bit bigger. He's got video, he's got a PDF, and there's actually a small symbol in the photos that tell the end user that is there. The item description answers the questions of their exemplar. The price is clearly visible, and it shows where the machine's located. So right there, you can see exactly how powerful it is to combine content with positioning. You can be the first ad on every page, but if your content's rubbish, you're just going to walk past it every time.
And then the other thing that we'd already talked about was if you've got parts in there, if you've got a hire advert in that excavator street, if you've got a used machine, you got a new machine, you mightn't pick up the buyer for the new machine, but you get them for the used, or you get them for the part. You actually get them for a hire ad, so you've got more content working for you. I like to put it in the analogy, the old fishing, and we're sitting in a boat here. I'm in a boat here, and I've got 20 rods out with all my bait and all my hooks.
I like this one.
Lyndon's about 100 metres away. He's got one rod, tiny little bait. I've got burley out, everything, working these fish. Got a few people to help me pull them in because I'm the one catching them.
That's right. Do you want to have one bit of bait in the water or several? Not only that, what kind of bait are you using? I mean,
you've got to have good quality bait.
If you've got 50 lines in the water, but on every single hook is a bit of bread, it's not really going to help.
The English use the bread, and that's weird though. Some of them catch that fish with bread.
So guys, it's important to not just have good positioning and good coverage. It's about making sure that the content's there as well. And it's about making sure that you use the full formula. And this is what we're talking about today. The perfect listing isn't just about making a good ad. It's about making a good ad and making sure that it's positioned well, and making sure that you're capitalizing on the market you're trying to reach, that you're answering those exemplars questions, that you're making sure that everything you're doing in that ad is directly focused on your targeted market, and it's being done right and being handled by the right people. So the last thing we're going to go on to now, so we've gone through the who, we've gone through the what, we've gone through the how and the where. What's really important to remember though is the why. Why is it important that you list everything online? And it's really simple. With the changes of the modes of communication, that's where your buyers are now.
It moved one day. One day we've talked about this. It was, the fax, then it was the yellow pages, and now it is moved again. And don't just consider where it's moved to today. Where's it moving to in the next 5 years? Where's it going to be in 10 years? And if you're already behind today, if you're already not putting prices on your machines, if you're putting up one photo, terrible description, you're already behind.
That's right.
There's companies ahead of you and they're already getting better results than you. Whether that's our marketplace, whether that's your own website, whether that's another marketplace. So you're already behind. The technology today is changing so quickly with mobile, with video, with, virtual reality that they're making over in the States at the moment.
I've been to field days where you can demo a machine in virtual reality. They sit you in a chair, put a thing on your head, and you're actually driving a machine to get a feel for how it works. The future is where you need to look in relation to why you should list your content online. All of your content, the more presence you have, and I'm talking about your YouTube, where your video content sits, where the use of your social media, all of that. If you're doing that now, you're setting yourself up to make it a hell of a lot easier to transition into the next change in mode of communication down the line.
Yeah. It's already happening.
Exactly.
It's already going, So plenty of your steel pushers out there are doing it well. But what we're trying to do is just open that conversation up. So when you go and leave this, go and have some decent conversations about putting the prices on, about getting more photos, about the resource you're using, about, what are we doing in our company right now, which is future-proofing us for the next 5 years.
Yep.
And if you're not doing video, and we talked about this a couple of shows back, if you're not doing video today, you're already behind.
Yeah. It's so crucial that everyone out there, all of you guys out there, all of you steel pushers that are making the efforts to transition into the digital space are doing it to the best of your ability. Don't half-ass it. Really, you really need to take the time, make the effort, get out there, get your best salesperson getting the videos done, get your best salespeople writing the item descriptions, get your best salespeople managing the leads that come through. Don't palm it off as something secondary. Don't think, I'll get to that later. Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Suddenly you're 3 years down the track and everything's completely out of date.
Yeah.
And it will hurt you in the long term. So what we're doing, especially with this episode today, is just stressing the point across that all of this information we're providing you culminates in giving you the best footing you can have moving forward to get your machinery selling digitally.
I was at the U2 concert last night, and it's just
brag. Yeah, cool.
Very nice night. It was very nice. Date night out there, Lyndon. Went very well. I was at U2 and it was just amazed me. There was 4 Irish guys that were just very good at music and a good band. But they've evolved. You should have seen the stage, and if any of you steel pushers have gone to it, they've just got a whole TV screen, the full length of a stadium, the biggest screen ever used. And they have evolved, but the core of their content is still the same. They're still the great band that they were 20, 30 years ago. But they have evolved the way they, perform in these shows.
And
with
I
all
heard
the technology.
I heard the audio. It was great. I'm amazed they still sound that good.
Just had to mention that, had to drop that in there because it was so good. So good. Love the YouTube.
Guys, so look, in summary, what we're going to get, so remember, list everything. Your top 50 parts, your new, your used, and some package deals if you can get them thrown in. Really cool, really effective. Make sure that you know your target market. I know a lot of you guys do, but not just know your target market, leverage your best salespeople to hit that market. The who is really important. Maximize your online exposure. Put it everywhere. List your equipment on your site, on marketplaces, any marketplaces. Make sure you do it well though. Your YouTube, your social media, everywhere that you can, and make sure that content you are listing is not just positioned well, but is of high quality. As many photos as you can muster. Good video content. Remember, 60 seconds, 90 seconds max is all you need. And a good PDF spec sheet for users to be able to download as well. Remember, your content's king, your positioning is queen, so combine the two to get it done right. And just remember, where do you want to be on Excavator Street in 5 to 10 years' time?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be?
So, another great show, plenty of good content in there. Go back, play it again, but go and have the conversations in your business today. Want to have a massive big shout out to all the firemen across Australia. There's all these fires going on. It's crazy times for us. Big shout out to them doing amazing work.
Incredible work.
Helping all these people in these danger zones. So just wanted to have a big shout out to them. wanted to talk about our next show on steel pushers, which is going to be an absolute ripper.
Standing out from the crowd.
And it's the marketing magic, guys.
That's right.
And there's two of them.
We're
They're going to be
step
chucked in the
aside.
room.
That's it.
Which is going to uncover some awesome things of how to expose your brand.
Yeah, that's it. So, guys, thanks for tuning into Steel Pushers again. Remember, we're here to help you buy better.
Sell faster.
Catch you again next time.